Arizona Territory, 1874. A sandstorm ripped across the wastelands like a beast unchained, blinding and relentless. Grit scoured everything it touched. A rickety wagon groaned beneath its weight, crawling forward as if through molasses. Clara Mayfield, hair tangled and face dust-streaked, clutched the reins with white-knuckled hands. Her belly, swollen with child, throbbed with each bump of the wagon wheels. She spat grit and whispered to the wind, just a few more miles. The land was hostile, but Clara's resolve was iron. She'd buried her husband 3 months ago, left behind cold stares and colder kin. Her brother-in-law, stiff-lipped and Bible-clutching, had offered a corner of the barn. But Clara had dreams and pride. Henry had spoken of a remote patch of earth near Red Mesa. He died before making it a home. Clara would finish what he started, even if it killed her. Sweat streamed down her back, despite the sandstorm's chill. The wagon jolted. Her mare shrieked and stumbled. The wheel snapped. Clara tumbled, landed hard on her side. She cried out, clutching her stomach, gasping until the pain passed. Sand choked the air. Her eyes stung as she crawled under the wagon, shielding herself from the storm. There, darkness took her. She awoke to silence. Grit coated her tongue. The storm had passed, leaving devastation in its wake. Her wagon was half buried in a dune. The horse was gone. Clara dragged herself upright. Every muscle screamed. Her belly clenched tight beneath her stays. Then she saw a hand protruding from the sand, not 10 paces away. She staggered forward, each step uncertain. The figure was barely alive, skin burnt, lips cracked, beard caked in sand. His leg bent wrong, unnaturally. Clara hesitated. In this land, danger wore many faces. But when he opened, his eyes clouded blue. Desperate, something stopped her from turning away. She fetched a canteen from the wrecked wagon, dribbled water over his lips. He coughed violently, then clutched her wrist. Don't, leave me. Clara found rope and canvas, fashioned a crude splint for his leg. She grunted as she dragged him beneath the wagon. Shade offered little relief, but it was something. That night, Clara built a meager fire from broken wood. Coyotes howled. The man drifted in and out of consciousness. At one point he muttered, "A name." Clara froze. Henry, Henry Mayfield. She studied him, her pulse quickening. "How do you know that name?" No answer came, just a ragged breath and a pained moan. Clara sat back, watching the dying fire reflect in the man's sunburned cheeks. She did not sleep. Instead, she kept her rifle near and her thoughts nearer. By morning, his fever broke slightly. She forced him to sip more water, mashed wild cactus pulp into his mouth. He groaned, tried to sit up. She pushed him down gently, but firmly. "You're lucky I found you," she muttered. He blinked slowly. "You, Clara." She recoiled. Her hand gripped the rifle. "Who told you that?" He grimaced. "Henry said, if he didn't make it back, someone should look after you." Pain carved into her heart like a branding iron. "You were with him when he died." He nodded. "Bar in Santa Fe. Got into it with a railroad man. Henry hit first. Didn't end well." Clara turned away. The wind had picked up again. Her heart was a storm of its own. Memories of Henry's strong hands, the promises he made, the child growing inside her. All now wrapped in the tangled mess of this stranger's story. She stood. "We need shelter. This wagon won't last." The man coughed. "There's a cave, south. Saw it before I passed out." Clara eyed the horizon, empty, cruel. But she believed him. She scavenged what she could. Dried meat, a flint, half a jar of pickled beets. She rigged a sled from part of the wagon bed, loaded him onto it, and began pulling. Her back screamed. Her thighs burned. Her child kicked wildly, sensing the chaos. Still, Clara pulled. Hours passed. The sun blistered her scalp. Vultures circled overhead. Finally, in the orange hush of sunset, she saw it, a shallow cave cut into red rock. Relief swept over her like a baptism. Inside, cool shadows embraced them. She laid him down gently, collapsed beside him. Dust motes danced in shafts of dying light. "Name's Eli," he rasped. She didn't respond. "You got a kid comin', huh?" Clara stared at the ceiling. "Yeah." He closed his eyes. "Guess where?" Both halfway broken. She pulled a blanket over him, and another over her shoulders. Sleep took her quickly, exhaustion deeper than the desert night. At dawn, the cave echoed with his moans. She tightened the splint on his leg. It was swelling badly. He needed more than she could give. She ventured outside, knife in hand. Found wild onions, lizards. She boiled meat and roots in a tin pot, fed Eli in slow spoonfuls. He barely chewed. The days blurred. He told her fragments of his story. A Confederate scout turned drifter, hunted by ghosts and guilt. She listened with arms crossed, wary. He never asked about her child. She never offered. One afternoon, a sudden scream pierced the cave. Clara rushed inside. Eli thrashed, caught in nightmare. She held his shoulders until he stilled. Saw him die again, he said, eyes glassy. "You're Henry. I should have stopped him." Clara whispered. "You couldn't have." He never listened. Their silence stretched, heavy as a tombstone. Outside, thunder grumbled on the horizon. The rain came hard. Clara caught runoff in pans, scrubbed sand from her skin. Eli leaned against the wall, watching her eyes soft. "Why are you out here?" She considered lying, but the desert demanded truth. "Because I want something to call mine. Even if it's just a shack. Even if it kills me." He nodded. "That's something I understand." That night, lightning lit the cave. They didn't speak. But when the storm crept closer, Clara lay near him, not touching. Just near. It was the first time she'd let herself feel safe since Henry died. She still didn't trust Eli, but she didn't fear him, either. And in the desert, that meant everything. Clara rose before dawn. Her breath clouded in the chilled cave air. Eli stirred, but didn't speak. His leg was still bad, the bruising spreading like spilled ink. She fed him a thin broth, then checked her dwindling supplies. Hunger curled in her gut. The child inside her shifted, restless. She gritted her teeth. The claim Henry's dream lay days to the north, marked only by an old tree and 3 stones. No map. Just his words. She knew she couldn't make it alone, but waiting in that cave meant death. Something had to change. Eli watched her pack. "You leave in me." She didn't answer immediately. "I need to find help. Supplies. I can't keep us both alive in here." He coughed hard, pain creasing his face. "There's a trading post. 2, maybe 3 days west. If I had a crutch, I could." "No. You'll slow me down. I ain't askin' to come. Just, if you go, don't wait too long." She nodded, torn. The cave was safer than open desert, but not by much. She hated the thought of leaving him, yet something in his eyes, regret, maybe, clung to her. By midday, she set out, carrying only what she could bear. Her rifle, canteen, a strip of dried meat. Her gait was unsteady, but determined. The land stretched in endless ochre folds. Heat shimmered off distant rocks. She followed a dry creek bed, the sun at her back. By dusk, her feet bled. She found a hollow beneath a dead tree and huddled there. Coyotes howled again. She wrapped herself in a thin blanket and prayed the darkness wouldn't swallow her. Morning came sharp and merciless. She pressed on. Around midday, a thin figure emerged from the heat waves ahead. She froze, hand on her rifle. The figure moved, slowly. A boy, no more than 15. He carried a bow and wore animal skins. His dark eyes studied her, lost. He asked in clipped English, Clara lowered her weapon, looking for a trading post. He pointed west. Another day, maybe less. She nodded, thanks. The boy looked her over. You're heavy with child. That far, no good. I'll manage. He hesitated, then pulled a pouch from his belt and tossed it to her. Inside, dried berries and something that smelled like sage, steep in hot water, for pain, for breath. Before she could thank him, he turned and vanished into the brush. By nightfall, the trading post appeared like a mirage. A few squat buildings, a well, a tethered mule. Clara approached slowly, wary. Inside the post, a wiry man with sunburned skin leaned on the counter. You look like hell, he muttered. I need food, water, salt, cloth. He eyed her belly. You got silver. She reached into her coat, pulled out a ring, Henry's ring. She set it on the counter. The man's eyes narrowed. Gold band like that's worth more with a story. She met his gaze. It belonged to the only man I ever loved. That's all the story you'll get. He grunted, took the ring. That'll do. She left with her pack heavier, her heart lighter. On her way out, she caught wind of a conversation. Two men whispering near a wagon. Woman heading east. Said she got a patch of land near Red Mesa. Easy pickings, sounds like. Clara didn't pause. She kept walking, but the fire in her chest burned hot. If word spread, the claim wouldn't stay hers for long. She returned to the cave in 2 days, blistered and spent. Eli was awake, barely. His beard was longer, eyes sunken. You came back, he rasped. Clara knelt beside him, with food, water. I even found some herbs. She gave him the pouch from the boy. He sniffed it. Lakota medicine. Good stuff. You know them. Fought M once, then traded with M. Depends on the year. She bathed his forehead with a damp cloth. We can't stay here. There are men sniffing around Red Mesa. We need to move before they find the claim. Eli tried to sit, then winced. I'll slow you down. We'll find a way. I didn't pull you out of the sand just to leave you now. They moved at dawn. Clara had made him a crutch from mesquite branches. He limped beside her, silent but steady. The desert tested them, heat by day, cold by night, but she noticed something change in him. He stopped cursing the pain. He helped her cook. He checked the path ahead for snakes. Each night, they slept close, still not touching. But the distance shrank. One evening, as she sat, rubbing her swollen ankles, he passed her a piece of jerky. I had a brother, he said. You remind me of his wife. Fierce, as a cornered lynx. Clara smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. They camped under a rock ledge the next night. In the dark, she turned to him. You ever think about going back east? He laughed once. Ain't nothin' left for me east of the Mississippi. Just ghosts. Same here, she said, but mine are buried in fresh soil. Eli leaned back. Guess we're two ghosts in the same limbo. They traveled on. Her body ached constantly. One morning, she collapsed trying to lift her pack. Eli helped her up, arm around her shoulder. Neither spoke, but her weight leaned into him longer than it needed to. By the time they saw Red Mesa rising in the distance, blood red against the sky, Clara wept, not from weakness, from arrival. They found the 3 stones, the tree, a dried creek bed. This was it. The land Henry promised. The land she bled to reach. Eli stood beside her. You sure? Yes. They set up camp under the lone tree. Clara marked the boundary with small flags. Eli gathered firewood, then stopped suddenly. Clara rushed to his side in the dirt, boot prints. Recent, she knelt, brushing over them. They were here. Eli gritted his teeth. Probably those men from the post. That night, they kept the fire low, took turns keeping watch. Clara's grip on her rifle was constant. Her child kicked wildly, reacting to her pulse thought around midnight, a sound crunching brush. Eli motioned silently. Clara crept to the edge of the camp. 3 men, rifles whispering. She fired first. One fell, the other scattered. Eli limped forward and fired again. A scream, then silence. By dawn, 2 men lay dead. The third had vanished. Clara cleaned her rifle with shaking hands. They would have killed us. Eli said nothing, just sat beside her. They watched the sun rise together, blood and light painting the horizon. She leaned her head against his shoulder. He didn't pull away. This land was claimed now, not just by deed, but by blood and bond. She whispered, "We're not ghosts anymore." He nodded, "No, we're survivors." They buried the 2 bodies under the brittle shade of the tree. No names, no prayers, just rocks over bloodied cloth and silence. The third man was still out there, somewhere beyond the ridges, nursing a wound and a grudge. Clara knew he'd return. It was only a matter of when. The days turned hot again. Clara's belly grew heavier. Eli carved out a crude lean-to with mesquite poles and canvas from an old saddlebag. He worked slowly but refused to rest until shade covered her during the worst of midday. She watched him one afternoon, hammering a stake with the butt of his rifle. "Why help me?" He didn't stop. "Because I remember what it's like to have nobody. You've got me now." His hands stilled. He looked up, eyes tired. "That ain't nothing. That's everything." A week passed. They planted wild seeds near the creek bed, dug a shallow trench for runoff. Eli taught her to trap rabbits, showed her how to smoke meat. She taught him how to swaddle cloth with a softness he didn't think he had. Then came the day her water broke. The sky boiled gray, wind slashing the mesa. Rain smelled close. Clara doubled over near the fire pit, clutching her side. Eli ran to her, panic wrestling with instinct. "It's time," she gasped. "It's happening now." He lifted her with shaking arms, carried her into the lean-to. Thunder cracked overhead. He boiled water, tore strips of cloth, tried not to remember the cries of dying men. Now, those cries came from Clara. She screamed once, then again, then bit down on her own wrist. "Push," he said, not even knowing why he said it. "You're almost there." Hours passed. The storm broke. Wind howled through the tree. Then a final cry in silence. Then life. A baby, red-faced, wailing. Eli blinked at the fragile thing in his hands. He handed the child to Clara, who cradled it close, lips trembling. "It's a girl," she whispered. "She's perfect." Eli sat beside her, drenched and spent. "You did it." Clara smiled through her exhaustion. "No, we did." In the following days, time slowed. The land remained harsh, but now it felt like home. Eli stood watch most nights, rifle across his lap. Clara sang to the baby soft, broken tunes she half remembered from childhood. One morning, smoke rose in the distance. Not a campfire, a signal. Clara saw it first. "Think it's him?" she asked. Eli nodded. "Or someone worse." They packed. Quietly, Clara wrapped the baby in blankets. Eli checked their supplies, loaded the rifle. They didn't run. They fortified. That night, the wind shifted. Footsteps neared. One set. Maybe 2. Eli waited, eyes fixed beyond the camp. Clara sat inside the lean-to, heart hammering. Then a figure appeared. Not the wounded man. A woman, tall, wary. She held a pistol, but didn't raise it. "Name's Hattie," she said. "Heard about your land. Figured I'd see who had the grit to hold it." Eli stepped forward. "We're not looking for trouble." Hattie shrugged. "Then you won't find it with me." She holstered her weapon. "I got seed, tools, and 2 good hands. You let me stay. I help you build." Clara stepped out slowly, baby in arms. "Why here?" Hattie looked around. "Because you've made it something worth staying for." They let her in. Weeks passed. A garden grew. The baby named Hope smiled for the first time. Eli built a second shelter. Hattie repaired the broken wagon axle they'd dragged from the old trail. Life, however fragile, had taken root, but peace in the frontier was never permanent. One afternoon, riders crested the hill, 5 of them, guns slung, hats low. Eli stood in their path. Clara hid Hope in the cellar pit. Hattie gripped her rifle. The lead rider called out, "We heard tell a widow staked claim here. Thought we'd see if she'd sell." Eli didn't blink. "She's not selling." The rider smirked. "Didn't say she had a choice." They dismounted. Spread out. Clara stepped forward, baby clutched in one arm, rifle in the other. "You'll have to shoot me where I stand," she said, "but I won't be the only one who falls." The air froze. The men hesitated. Hattie cocked her rifle. Eli raised his. The lead rider spat. "Wasn't worth it anyway." He turned. The others followed. Clara didn't lower her rifle until they vanished into the dust. Afterward, Eli paced the edge of the land for hours. When he returned, his face was hard. "They'll be back. We need more than luck and guts," he wrote out. At dawn, Clara watched him disappear into the desert, unsure if he'd return. Days passed. Then a week, Clara repaired the fencing, fed Hope, shared coffee with Hattie. They spoke little, but understood each other. On the 9th morning, hooves pounded the earth. Eli returned with 3 others, a Lakota warrior, a Mexican blacksmith, and the boy who'd once given Clara sage. "They owe me favors," Eli said simply. "Now they owe you." The warrior, silent but observant, scanned the horizon. The blacksmith set up a forge. The boy tended the garden, laughed with Hope. That night, the camp was fuller. Brighter. Clara sat beside Eli by the fire. "You came back." He smiled. "Told you I ain't leaving. Not now. Not ever." She leaned into him, felt the warmth of his arm. Hope gurgled nearby. They were no longer ghosts, no longer broken, just scarred and building something real. A storm came days later. Rain hammered down. The roof held. Hope laughed as water dripped from the beams. Eli watched them, mother and child, and something inside him softened. That night, he whispered, "I never thought I'd want to stay anywhere again." Clara touched his hand. "Then stay with us." He nodded. "I already have." But life tested them once more. The 3rd man returned. One moonless night, a shot cracked through the camp. The blacksmith fell, wounded in the shoulder. Clara ran toward the screams. Hattie fired into the dark. The warrior moved like smoke, silent, swift. Eli tackled the shooter behind the shed. A scuffle, a final shot. Then quiet. Eli stood, panting, rifle lowered. The last of them was gone. Clara held him that night, arms tight. Hope slept in the crook of her arm. They'd survived again, but it cost them. They buried the blacksmith the next day, built a cross, sang something low and wordless. Seasons passed. The land grew green for the first time. Fences stood strong. The baby took her first steps. Hattie carved a cradle. The warrior came and went like the wind, always returning. One morning, Clara stood at the edge of the creek. Eli came up behind her. "Thinking?" he asked. "Just remembering. What we lost. What we found." He touched her shoulder. "This place, it saved me. You saved me." She turned to him. "We saved each other." They kissed. Softly. No fire. Just warmth. And for the first time since Henry's death, Clara didn't feel alone. The desert hadn't taken her. It had remade her. She built a home from ruin, a family from Ashdod, and in the end, it wasn't the land that healed her. It was love. Earned, scarred, and true. Hope laughed again, chasing a beetle. Clara smiled to the audience. If this story moved you, share it. Let others feel what you felt. Like, comment, and subscribe. We tell these tales to remember what it means to fight for something real, something worth bleeding for. Thank you for watching.